Let's take a look at the soundboard. These two yellow faders are your master left and right, and those should be up at the 0 mark. This one here, the black one, would be your subs, the bass. So that one can go up about there. We don't really need to put it any higher than that, especially because in the warehouse and cafe you're right next door to each other. So that should be about right. Now you can see on each one we've got it labeled. Each mic. The way these work is left, left center, and right. Those are the wired mics. W1 is your wireless handheld, and W2 is your wireless headset. iMac is going to be ProPresenter. Foley is the program that we just looked at on the Mac Mini, but that's all your audio cues. CD and DVD we don't really use for UpStreet, and effects we're not really using right now. Your mute buttons are up here. Up here we have gain, this button right here. Each track has its own level of gain. Now what gain is it's a lot like volume, but the idea is you want to go ahead and set the gain so that when you're, let's say that was your gain for, which is this one, the iMac. You want to have your gain set so that when you bring these up to 0, you should be at just the right volume. So you set your gain first, and that way it has you at least in the right neighborhood for where your faders should be. And you're going to have to do some of this, but just in general, that's why gain has been set there. So I would say it's a last resort to adjust the gain because it's already been preset a certain way. Now you may come in and find that you're playing a track and for some reason it's not loud enough. Well, probably what's happened, and this is something that you may need to do from time to time, is someone's been using the computer and they change the volume. So you go under System Preferences, over here to Sound, and you want to make sure your output volume is all the way up. As you can see, it was at half. So I don't know if that happens automatically or if when people do events, if they change it. Haven't figured that out yet, but it should always be all the way up. When that is all the way up, then this gain is at the correct setting. So as you can see here, we have it labeled gain low, computer volume high. And that's what that means. It means that the computer volume should be at the maximum, and that way we keep the gain as low as possible to avoid having, noise that we don't need. Then the only other things to worry about, all these buttons here on the top level, those are EQ buttons. You can't really go wrong having these in the middle. Really, it just means the top two are going to be your high EQ, so like your treble. These are going to be your mids. I'm not quite sure why this is up, but it is. And these are your bass, and I would probably not have those too high. But if you're ever wondering why is the bass so messed up, it's probably because these are out of whack. So generally speaking, you're not going to need to change those at all during UpStreet. These next ones are the aux. They call them the aux sends, AUX. You'll notice over here we've got it labeled. It says monitor on the third one, so aux 3 is monitor. What that means is everything that's on the third auxiliary channel, this is what's going to the stage monitor so the singers can hear themselves. When you're working the soundboard, this at the bottom, these faders here control the main house mix. In other words, what the kids are hearing. Now the stage monitor, this box right here pointed toward the people on stage, that is purely for them to be able to hear what's going on. So your mix going to that may be different from the mix that's going out into the crowd. And the way you control what gets sent back to the singers for them to hear is in these aux sends. So what we do is we control that using the monitor, which is aux 3. If we zoom back and look over here on the right, this is kind of the master volume right here, aux 1, aux 2, aux 3. So this is your, if they say, I just can't hear anything coming out of the stage box, period, this is how you control the overall volume of that monitor. And then each one individually has its own control. So zooming back here just for a second, let's say Mike is singing on the left mic and he can't hear himself on stage. So you move up here and you see that you've got your monitor aux 3 right here. So this is Mike. You can see how low he is in the mix. So I'm going to turn Mike up in the mix, where he's comparable to the other singers. Maybe they're saying we can't hear the music loud enough. Well, this is the music. Maybe we need to turn those up so they can hear themselves better in that stage monitor. So with these, you're just making individual adjustments to individual tracks. With the one over here on the right, you're adjusting the overall volume of what's being sent to that stage monitor, which is this thing right here. And then moving over, one last thing. Let's just take a quick look over here at the rack. And the only thing you really need to worry about here is the CD recorder. Each room has its own instructions because they're all different. Each room is going to have its own drawer, or in this case in the factory we've got a little bin that has the mics, remotes, etc. So you got your remote for the projector, you've got your, this is the actual earpiece for the headset mic, and if this is ever going in and out, you can always try to actually adjust, basically tighten any connections that you may see on the mic itself, especially where the mic is coming out of the little connector right here. Try and just get that as snug as you can, turn it to clockwise. Sometimes if they're loose, that can give you trouble. And the factory, it may cut out every now and then, just because our frequencies on the second floor are a little more difficult. For the batteries in general, we always have batteries here. You just want to check them when you first get there in the morning. Go ahead and flip the switch so you can see how much battery you have. In this case, we've got 3. Anytime you're below 2, like if you got one little mark there on the battery, then it's time to change it. Otherwise, you're fine. Same thing with the other wireless, the handheld. You can check it right here, and it'll tell you. And that's got 3 as well, so you're fine. The other mics are corded, so they get wired into the stage. And you got your DVD remote, got some pens, all that good stuff. Just in general, if you're having mic problems, especially if you're having mic problems with this one, go ahead and take out the actual headset part and tighten everything, put it back in. But if it's still giving you problems, this one is definitely the most fragile of all the microphones. So your backup plan is to give that person the handheld wireless, or if you're having wireless problems, period, you can always have them pick up one of the mics that's on stage, the wired mics, and just go from there. So if you're really having problems with the wireless, just go ahead and turn that one off and have them pick up a corded mic from the stage to finish the Bible story or whatever it might be. And that's about it. Thanks for listening to the tech tour, and I appreciate you serving. See you in UpStreet.